The board members and guests, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Mohica.
Here.
Trustee Cascarella.
Present.
Trustee Brewer.
Present.
Trustee Bowen.
Here.
Treasurer Fedewa.
Here.
Clerk Clark is present. Supervisor Fletcher.
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have the agenda before us. It's the pleasure of the board. Fonda?
I'd like to make an amendment. Do we do that after we approve the agenda or before? I can't remember.
Amendment to what?
I'd like to add something to the agenda if I may.
Okay, make your motion to amend the agenda.
I move that we amend the agenda. I'd like to add a letter of support to the airport for the American Airlines to continue having flights directly out of Mission
Do
Lansing.
we need to put that on the agenda? I think we all saw the email. think
I just wanted to make sure we were going to support. Didn't know that because we can't have a collective conversation. So I wanted to put it on the agenda to get a vote for that.
Let's say is our right to submit a letter on behalf of the township board in support
Right.
of
Yeah.
the airport's request.
Yep. That's
Yes.
all good.
Great. No amendment needed then.
Those move to approve the agenda. There's support.
Support.
There is support. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. There's a couple items of communications in your packet to take a look at. Public comment. Anybody in the audience this evening? Speak on any topic? Now is your opportunity. Seeing no one coming forward, we'll move down to the consent agenda. What's the pleasure of the board this evening on items on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Is there support?
Support.
There is support. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on approving the consent agenda this evening?
Trustee Mohica.
Yes.
Trustee Cascarella.
Yes.
Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Treasurer Fedewa.
Yes.
Clerk Clark is yes. Supervisor Fletcher.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We move to the items of new business, and first up is number 11, the May 2nd election draft ballot proposal. We discussed this at the last meeting. There's wanted some clarification. I know staff from Christmas and the township staff has talked to various board members. I think we have language now that folks think is more clear and concise on what we're going for. So what's the pleasure of the board? This item, Linda.
I move that the Delta Township Board adopt the following resolution to place a question on the May 2nd, 2023 ballot with the proposed ballot language included as Exhibit A.
Is there support?
Support.
There is support. Is there additional discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Mohica.
Yes.
Trustee Cascarella.
Yes.
Trustee Bowen.
Yes.
Treasurer Fedewa.
Yes.
Clerk Clark is yes. Supervisor Fletcher.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 12, Nixon Road resurfacing with bike lanes improvement agreement. The engineering department recommends that the board approve this agreement. What's the pleasure of the board? Andrea?
I'd like to make a motion, but I have a question too.
Sure, go ahead,
Make
ask
the-
a question and make a
Okay.
motion, or it doesn't matter. Sure. Order.
Well, it's just really, my question was, because I know we approved in the consent agenda, the Eaton County Road Plan. So my question was just around, or I think that was, I'm sorry, I said that, it's not the road plan, it was on the GM facilities for the plant, and there are water and sewer improvements being made along the same corridor as the bike lane. What's the timing? I guess that was my question, because I know we had, there were some improvements on the drain that were along Nixon Road as well. Was that not?
We have, as far as the Altium project goes, we
Yeah.
have some, we have some water main going in on Mount Hope, further down to the east
Oh,
at the
it's
freeway
further down.
crossing.
It was showing some of that in the same areas where the bike lanes were.
No,
thought
I don't-
looked at
I
the
don't
map.
believe so.
Okay.
It's-
Well, you might
Apologies.
have been Was there a map for the drain?
Yeah.
Oh, for the Martin Drain project,
I'm sorry.
yeah, so the Martin Drain item was really, it's just paperwork catching up. That work's already been built, and so it just took time to get the paperwork in order and get it turned over to the drain office to make it part of the public drain system.
Gotcha.
But there is no actual physical work that's gonna happen in that area.
Thank you for clarifying. I was just gonna ask if it was being coordinated with this work, given they'd be in the roadway, but
And actually, the reason this is kind of sat with the drain office for a little while and there's been back and forth with attorneys and it's kind of lingered a little bit, but the impetus to get it to across the finish line was this impending road project because the road commission wanted to make sure that all the ducks were in order
okay.
before they resurfaced the area over top of that drain line.
Well, thank you
Yep.
for clarifying and sorry for misreferencing, but I'm glad you figured out what I was inquiring about. So, sorry, and then I'll get to the motion here. I move that the Delta Township Board approve the agreement with the Eaton County Road Commission for the Nixon Road resurfacing and bike lane project and provide the local matching funds in the estimated amount of $210,000. And further, that the township supervisor and clerk be authorized and directed to execute the agreement.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item 13, contract services with Safe Built. The building department recommends that we approve a contract with Safe Built to provide services needed for building inspections, plan review, code enforcement, and whatnot. Beth.
I move that the Delta Township Board approve the contract with Safe Built to provide services as needed for building inspections, plan review, and code enforcement pending final review of the township attorney. I further move that the township manager be approved and directed to sign the contract on behalf of the township.
Is there support?
Support.
There is support. Is there discussion? Yes.
I have a couple questions about the contract. Just to clarify, so the first term is 24 months when it's executed. And then agreement shall automatically renew for subsequent 12 months until such time as either party notifies. But then under that, the termination is 90 days. So if we want to terminate at the annual date, do we have to give 90 days notice as well? Or does the board have to be aware of that 90 days ahead of time or?
I think it's a good question. Our attorney is still cleaning up some of this language,
Okay.
but this is really a as needed
Right.
contract. So
Mhm.
I think some of those time limits are somewhat superfluous because we're not locking the township in or obligating to stay with this contract. I think it just gives them some comfort in terms of that, some type of commitment to time. But if we do not decide to use them at all, then we're not obligated for any costs.
So there's no retainer, it's only for services.
Correct.
Okay, and is there any kind of mechanism, process for residents if they have problems, complaints, anything negative? Not to say that there will be, but do we have something so that we can keep tabs and keep the high quality of service that we provide even through a contractor?
Sure. I'll let our department head for building, Matt Leach, handle that.
Hi, Supervisor Fletcher Board. To answer your question, it would be just like any other inspector in my department.
Mhm.
They would make a complaint to me and then I would resolve the issue one way or the other. Come up with a solution.
Okay,
And just to kind of ease the board's minds a little bit, this contract is more to help us. Because we are super busy. We're getting ready to come into the busy season. We're already seeing projects coming in. We're seeing projects we've never seen before. And it also gives us a little comfort zone, like a couple years ago. When we had one inspector that did both plumbing and mechanical, broke his back, he was out for 3 months. Back then, we were lucky enough to find somebody that could do both and do plan review, where that's a little harder to find now, and this company has people around the country, so they would be able to help us remotely or whatever we need. But that's why I just had them write it up as needed.
Yeah, well, I think it's wonderful that we have a contingency plan in place so that we can continue to provide these services. I just had those couple of questions. Thank you.
Any other comments? See none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and board members. Just a couple of things. Thanks for all your help and support with the bond issue, and extra time that you put in. Some other sheriff's department news. They are still doing the testing for Ross's replacement. So that should be coming soon, and we'll have a new lieutenant. But for right now, Ross is still answering all the calls. Last week, they did have the annual Eaton County Sheriff Awards, and these are deputies and sergeants and detectives who had really exceptional cases throughout the year. And I just want to read through them real quick, just because there was a lot of Delta deputies included in that. But life-saving awards, Sergeant Pete Walter and Deputy Brendan Sissel. Professional excellence, Sergeant Andrew Stopchinski, Sergeant Casey Tsort, Deputy Chris Burton, Deputy Brandon Sissel, Deputy Detective Robert Gillantine, Deputy Eric Hafner, Deputy Nabil Kanaza, Deputy Jake Larson, Deputy Rebecca Maring, Deputy Mike Rudicelli, Deputy Dustin Short, Deputy Brandon Swagger, Deputy Daniel Toe, Deputy Josh Turner and K9 Tank, and Deputy Eric Vidovsky. And then letter of commendation, Deputy John Davidson, Deputy Wesley Meyer, Deputy Josh Turner, and K9 Tank. So that list looked a lot shorter before I read it. But really happy to have, we're busy township, very good to have such dedicated deputies, and to see them get recognized for exceptional service. Just to let you know, there will be a bank intercounty determination of necessity meeting March 6th at 6 p.m. Waverly High School. That is the intercounty drain on the east side of the township that affects a lot of the eastern area. So that's a big meeting. Well, they will determine the necessity of that project moving forward.
Brian, can you repeat that date again?
Sure, that's March 6th at 6 p.m. at Waverly High School. Just so you're all aware, we are having a staff in service February 20th. So that's President's Day. So that we will have the township administration building and other buildings shut down that day, but all employees will be here for an in-service. The board is welcome to attend if you would like. We'll start at 7:30 a.m. The Waverly Pool is nearing completion. So Thursday, doing a walkthrough, but the school district is going to get back with me, but they were wanting to do a kind of a joint ribbon cutting. So they were tentatively identifying March 20th, which is a board meeting night. They also have a school board meeting, but maybe doing something around 5 p.m. So I just thought I'd float that time or date if board members were amenable to that, and do a little event before our board meeting and their board meeting to have a ribbon cutting for that partnership with the school and the school bond millage for that project. So it's coming along very nicely. So it'll be a good thing for our community. If anybody has a problem with that date, let me know. But that, like I said, tentatively, that's what they have identified. Just another event that you might be interested in, and you probably already received an email, the Greater Lansing Conventioners Visitors Bureau has their annual meeting March 2nd. And it's going to be in Delta at the venue by 11 events. So that's 8:30 AM to 10 AM. So I know they have their annual meeting every year around the region, but just something, since it's in Delta, I thought you might be interested in. But that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions of the board.
Any questions for Brian? Okay, thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. No further board comments? Fonda?
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Fletcher. I just wanted to acknowledge that it's Black History Month. And as with every year, the MSU does an outstanding lecture series. And they will again be offering one starting, it's going to be, the first one is February, or the second one rather, is February 6th, February 9th, Thursday, February 9th. And they're going to have Angela Davis will be the speaker, and that'll be at the Wharton Center. So I would encourage people to attend. The series is always outstanding. And then the final speaker will be Dr. Freeman H. I'll just say that because I can't pronounce his full name. Harabrowski, something like that. And he will be speaking on February 23rd at 5 PM. So I would encourage you, you can just go out on Facebook and put in slavery to freedom, and you'll find all of the data out there. So I would encourage you to attend. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Any other?
I wanted to request of our staff the same kind of presentation that we had the last meeting on the trails and the bike lanes and everything for our parks and rec. So kind of a retrospective of the past 10 years where our money has gone, what we have done, to just see those kinds of things and the grants and the partnerships and all that sort of thing. I found the non-motorized trail one to be so informative and so encapsulating that someone could just watch that portion and just really know what we've been doing. And I'd like to see something on Parks and Rec as well. It's kind of part and parcel to questions that I've been getting from residents about the bond proposal, the new police station. Why are we doing it now? Why do we need to spend this money on it? And so it's, looking back over 10 years of our budgets, you see where our capital expenses have been going, and some of them have been going to roads, some of them ambulance, we spend where we need to, and we've put a lot into our parks. And so I think it's good for us to kind of brag about that, like we did with our non-motorized, and also just to show, what we have done for the township. And it helps us build, what our priorities are going forward with the bond, with the police station, that sort of thing. So at a future meeting in a couple of weeks, whenever. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent idea, Beth. We also get lost in the year-to-year, day-to-day type of appropriations and expenditures and projects and things like that. And we tend to lose track of cumulatively what we've done and have that documented so we can always, point back to it, with the citizenry and show exactly where, our capital improvements and outside our operational costs, have gone. And it also is reflective of what may be our priorities. And then we can review is that our priorities and balance to the needs of the township and its residents. So I think that's a helpful tool. So yeah, I support that request.
Any other comments? Any final public comments? Can you come forward? We are adjourned. No, not a record.